Welcome to today's video. Before beginning, please read the trade disclaimer. Please understand that this is not financial advice, just my commentary and opinion. Don't forget to press like and subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified of the latest new videos. Hello everyone and welcome. So in this video, slightly different to my other videos. So I will be giving away this EMA averaging strategy. So in this strategy, I'm just going to go over how it works, what the functions are, features are, how you could configure it, how you can potentially optimize it, how to set alerts, and then I'll be explaining how you can get access to this for free. So what this strategy is, it's an EMA strategy. It looks at the fast EMA, the medium EMA, and the slow EMA. Okay, and the trades are based on the price being above these three EMAs. What it also looks at is it makes sure that it's an engulfing candle as well. Okay, so engulfing to the previous bar. So that would be your standard sort of setup for an entry. Now in this strategy, it's has lots of features. So it has some trade filters, and these are effectively based on the various different moving averages. There's also an ADX filter, which is, as you can guess, based on ADX, but the extra thing it has is you can decide on the level you want. So, effectively what we're saying is if the ADX is above 20, for example, and the filter is enabled, only those trades will occur if they meet the criteria of the EMA and the engulfing candle above the 20 ADX level. Another criteria you can add is the moving average filter. You can enable this and you have a drop down, and in this you can choose any of the different types of moving averages you want to use. This is your normal moving average, your EMA, WMA, Hull MA, VWMA, and RMA, DMA, TMA, and your VWAP. Okay, and for the VWAP, is the only time you would use changing the resolution. Okay, and this resolution is based on the chart's resolutions you have saved. Okay, so you may look at this and say, well, this looks very good. It is an averaging strategy. This is on a 5-minute chart. Now, one of the things is you need to understand is one can't have too many trades, because if you have too many trades, you have the potential of liquidating your account, which you don't want to do. And what you're looking at in this particular strategy is the averaging method. So what we're going to do is we want to enter different positions. So in this case, we entered a long position. Price went against us. We took a safety order, when a price came down at 3%. Then we had another buy signal appear. It met all the criteria to exit, and we exited our trade. And so effectively, the win rate, which is 84.34%, is based on the average. So effectively, you could say, if this trade won, and this lost, but the average profit is equivalent to if all three trades win. So that's why it shows at 84% rather than 100%, because you will get, maybe this one may lose, but the other two outweigh the third one so much that, it makes up for it. So we look at, in this case, the long side. So let's go through the settings. So you have, the max trade open limit. So this looks at the maximum number of trades. So if I untick this, in this case, luckily we don't have that many trades, but you have 88. But one of the things that is important is if we get a time where, we are potentially could get more than 3 trades or 4 trades or 5 trades, you don't want to be in that position where Again, too many trades ends up potentially liquidating your account, especially if you're using leverage. Okay, now we leave that as enabled, and I like to have it between 3 and 4. Okay, now what in this case I leave it as 3. Now if I want to use, say, a moving average as a filter, so I could say I want to look at the close as the source, and I want to use an EMA of 200. Okay, and then I tick this, and it will now only go long when the crossovers are above the 200 EMA. Okay, so that's one of the things to understand. If I decide to say change this to, say, the RMA or the double EMA, yeah, of 200, the trades are again, affected as per. So this is filtering out the potential entries. Now, the other way I can look at it is if I then say decide to use a rewrap, then the 200 MA does not have any impact. However, the source will. So in this case, if I use a high, low, close 3, and I'm using the daily rewrap, okay? And effectively, that's what the trades are based on. So we have 62 trades now, okay? Now, what do we look at next? We also have the ADX filter here. So with this ADX filter, if I enable this, it will reduce, the number of trades. So in this case, it's dropped down to 35. Yes, it drops down, obviously, the net profit, but the idea is you want to take trades that are more probable, okay? And because if we run this automated, we want to make sure that all the trades we take are higher probable, okay? So if I did want to change, for example, the EMAs, I could change them here, and you are more than welcome to change this and change the source for all 3. So in this case, if I have an ADX, I'm using a rewrap filter. So what I can do, if you do wish indicators, so in this case, if I go to the normal indicators and look for the rewrap filter, so here you go, the volume weighted average price. And what I'll do in this case is click on settings, and I'll hide that. And I don't also want to see the bands. Okay, just to make it easy, we can change the color to, say, white, make the band thicker. And so what we're looking at is entries above the rewrap. Okay, so you can see that. Now the other thing what you may want to do is now look at, say, the ADX. So we go back to indicators, we do ADX, and then we look at the average directional index. We will load this up. It's currently set on default 1414, and what we're looking at is we need to make sure price is above the 20 level. So if I take this line, let's change the color to, I don't know, white, and set this to 20. So what, again, the requirement is the ADX must be above the 20 level for the trade to be valid. And in this case, it was. Okay, so that is, again, another filter. And you can see it was above the 20 level. So it does not matter whether we are taking shorts or longs, but that is the requirements if you enable that as a filter. Okay, so this is just an example of how you can, this indicators will have an impact on the trades. Okay, so now once we have this, you decide whether you wish to go long or short. Okay, you can only run one, but you can run it twice. So you can do one automation using longs, one automation using shorts. So we select activate longs. Okay, so in this case, our re-entry is if the price goes against us by 3%, it will re-enter a buy. A take profit at 0.6%. Again, this is based on me using leverage. So if I'm using 100x leverage on 1% a trade, this works out to be potential target of 60%. The emergency stop loss, I've added this just in case price goes against you long term and you need to use an emergency exit. So if I take this option, if the price is less than 10%, in drawdown or negativity overall, then it won't have any impact. However, if it gets lower, so maybe if I do 7%, what's happened here is there's probably a trade that went very negative and it closed. But understand, irrespective of this, it still made a profit. Okay, so this is an emergency feature that one could use to trigger to protect your account overall. So effectively you have some kind of risk management in place. Okay, the same applies on the short side. So if I do shorts, so in this case with its current setup, we've got these shorts open. So we had one here and there. That purple cross here tells you that's the average price of the short. Okay, so if we look at this, if I wanted, say, a re-entry a lot earlier on, I can turn around and set this to free, and we'll potentially get a re-entry. So that was the re-entry, and that's the average price here, and that's brought the average price further up. Our target is only 0.5, okay, or 0.6 in this case. Then obviously you may get more drawdown. Okay, so if I put this back, if I leave this to 0.6, if I enable an emergency stop loss, currently it's not affected by 10%. If I drop this down, I can test out what my limit may be. So in this case, as you can see at 6%, we get stopped out at the top, okay? And then we take another trade and it makes profit, but overall ends up becoming a loss. But it protects your account balance, as effectively overall you'd only lose around that sort of, around $36 based on its settings. But if, however, your stop loss was, to say, 5% more, which is the emergency stop loss, you would be fine. So this is why this is in place, is to protect your account. Okay, now go back to longs. Also understand that once you have this enabled, when you activate longs, it then activates the alerts for longs. When you activate shorts, it activates the alerts for the shorts only. Okay, then you have the all-in-one alerts set up, and in this setup what you have is you can decide to take a trade before a bar closes. So what that literally means is, if I have this on once per bar, okay, and I'm on a 5-minute chart in this case, the bar, you'll see it tick down every 5 minutes for every bar. So say I wish to enter the trade 1 minute before the bar closes, so I put in 1 minute. So effectively what will happen is when we reach 1 minute, the alert will trigger. The advantage for this is, because you're not using bar close, but if 4 minutes have passed and the trigger for buy, or the buy condition, is still valid, it would trigger that alert slightly early, potentially giving you a better entry. Okay, that's what this is for. By default, it's on 0. Because we use the all-in-one alert function, you have a choice of either once per bar close, or all. You don't want to do all. Okay, so if you look over here, all will trigger on every type of way. Now the advantage of this setup is this. So imagine you are using, it could be Wonderbit or FreeCommerce or ProfitView, or any automation platform, or Lotron, and you put in the syntax. All you need to do is put their syntax in for longs. The exit, the long re-entry could be the same as the buy, because in this averaging, what we're doing is we're buying the same amount of contracts. So if I buy, imagine 10 contracts in this position over here, right? In this position here, we get another buy. I buy another 10, and I get here, I buy another 10. I do not DC the normal fashion where I buy 10, then here I buy 20, and then here, because now I end up with 30, you end up with 60 odd. So we're not doubling in each case. In this case, we're just buying the same amount. Okay. So based on that, you could this long re-entry can be the same syntax as long. Your long stop loss, E means emergency, which is for this, and again you'd have to tick this to enable it. Okay. And once these two are enabled and you've put your settings in here, what you will do is the exit will be the same exit as your long exit. So technically, in this case, when you enter a long position, it will use the same syntax. When you exit to close the trade, it will use the same syntax for exit. And if you're going to re-enter, it will be the same syntax as the long. And for emergency stop loss, it should be the same syntax for the long exit, unless you have an option, to market close, and the provider, such as the middle automation provider, such as Free Commerce or Wonderbit, provide you with an extra syntax to say this is for market close all, and then you can put that in there. Once you do all of this, so in this case, let's say I do long. And this was long exit, and this was long re-entry, so I could just say long again, and stop loss. Okay, imagine I've done all of this. I've selected this as once per bar in this case, and I say 1 minute before the candle closes. I'll click OK, and now what will happen, those settings should be saved. I'll click on this to update and save the chart. We've got the tick. And what we want to do next is click on the three dots and you press add alert. Once you add alert, you don't wish to use this function. You want to go to alert function calls only. And now again, this is based on the subscription level you have for TradingView. So if you have the Pro and the Pro Plus, you won't get open-ended option, but you only have that on the premium. So select this to the highest expiration time or date you can, and then what you want to do is give it a rename here. So this could be, in this case, the Titan EMA longs only. Okay, and then what you want to do is put in a potential webhook. So in this case, if you click over here, so that might be for Wonderbit. And then what happens is, if you put the Wonderbit syntax in the settings, and if you press now create, but you obviously need to set the maximum expiration time is 60 days in this case, but I can do open-ended, so I'll just do that. If I now press create, what you'll get is one single alert. Okay, and now what will happen is, when you get a buy trigger, you'll get an alert which will show up the message buy, and that will send it to Wonderbit. So if that is this, if this is the syntax longs for Wonderbit, then Wonderbit will receive it, via TradingView's webhook, and then process that. If you're using, say, Profit View, and buy long is the alert name for in Profit View, then it will trigger that, and then it will do what it needs to do. Advantage of this, you only use one alert effectively for all three alerts. So one alert triggers based on the conditions it meets. So if you do have, say, a free account on TradingView, that's something you can use, because then you get one alert. If you have a pro account, which I believe only has 10, again, you're only using one alert instead of potentially 4 alerts, and that's it. So, but if later on you decide you wanted to change any of this, what you would have to do is make the change, delete the alert. So if in this case I delete it, and then I go over here and I turn around and say, well, I don't want 0.6, after my testing 0.7 was better. I'm going to leave everything else because I've now deleted the alert, because that has to be removed from the trading view side. We will re-add the alert, and we do the same thing, alert functions, and give it, you can give it a nice name again, whatever, suits yourself to remember what you're running. So in this case, it might be, like I said, longs only. And then again, we have that one alert. Okay. And that's what we will use. So that's it for this video in regards to how to set it up, how to use this. If you wish to optimize it because of the backtester being built in, you can use a Chrome plugin called the Optimizer. It's by David Tech, so I highly recommend that. Potentially watch his videos to understand how he uses it. Also, if you're wondering why this information is the way it is, I've configured it here. So this would be, say, on a $10,000 account. If I was using 100x, 1% of 10,000 times 100 leverage, well, each trade would be almost the same as the initial capital. Now the commission I've put in there, so if I'm using Bybit, is 0.075, and that's taking that into consideration. And that's really it. Now, if you wish to have access to this, all you need to do is like and share this video and create an account using my Bybit affiliate link and join my Discord. And then let me know your Bybit UID, and I will check if you've used it and funded your account, and I will give you access to this forever. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.